Okay, Algebra 2, we are starting section 2.4, writing equations of lines. So a lot of this you're going to remember from Algebra 1, and what you don't remember from Algebra 1, you want to go ahead and make sure you take really good notes on repeating what you need to. So the first part, we're going to write equations using slope-intercept form of a line, which is the form of the line that you're most familiar with, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is your y-intercept. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take, when we were given an m and a b, we're going to replace the m and the b in the equation, leaving all the rest of the variables and symbols. So if I change colors here, you'll be able to watch. I'm going to keep the y and the equals. I'm going to change, and now the m is going to be this 3/4. So I'm going to write 3/4. And then I'm going to keep the x and the plus, and the b, we're going to use -2. So this is the equation of a line, y equals 3/4 x plus -2. So remember that m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So even if we have the words there, we can still rewrite the equation. This time I'm not going to change colors. I'm going to keep it all the same. Y equals the slope, which is -4/5. Keep that x plus 4. And that is slope-intercept form of a line. The next form of a line is the point-slope form of a line. When you're given a point and a slope, you can plug it into this form and then simplify and have the slope-intercept form of a line again. So in this case, your 5 is going to be your x1 value, and the 4 is going to be your y1 value, and of course the m is -3. So changing colors again so you can see what I plug in, we have y minus, I'm going to use the y1, which is the 4, and then equals, we're going to plug in the slope, which is -3, and we're going to keep the parentheses, x minus, and then we're going to put in the x1, which is 5. And then we just need to simplify. So we have y minus 4 is equal to, and we're going to distribute the -3, so we have -3x plus 15. And since this is the equal sign, we're going to move the -4 over by adding 4 to both sides. And we have y is equal to -3x plus 19. And that is the equation of our line that goes through the point 5, 4, has a slope of -3. Now there's an alternate way to do this without using the point-slope form, but using the slope-intercept form, which remember was y equals mx plus b. Since this is the most familiar form of a line, you are able to plug into this using x as the 5, y is the 4, and again your slope is -3. So if we plug that in, we get 4 is equal to negative 3. Remember, when plugging in numbers, we're going to use parentheses, times 5 plus b. And then we simplify. We're going to solve for b because that's our only variable in this equation. So 4 equals negative 15 plus b. And we're going to add 15 to both sides. And b is equal to 19. So if we plug it back into that y equals mx plus b form, we have y is equal to the m, which is negative 3, x plus the b, which was 19. So you can see that no matter which method that I use, whether I use slope-intercept or point-slope form of the line, I come up with the same equation for a line that goes through the point 5,4 with a slope of negative 3. Okay, next we're going to go on to writing an equation of a line that's either parallel or perpendicular to a line that we already know. So the first one is we're going to write an equation of a line that passes through negative 2, 3, and is parallel to y equals negative 4x plus 1. So we know that this is the slope of this line. And we also know from Algebra 1 that slopes of lines that are parallel are equal. So the slope of this parallel line is still going to be negative 4. So here we have a point, and so we can use point-slope form, or we can use slope-intercept form to find this new equation. So this time I'm going to use point-slope form, which was y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So by plugging in, we have y minus, your y1 is up here, which is 3, equals your slope, which is negative 4, from right here, parentheses, x minus x1, which comes from up here, which is a negative 2. Then we need to simplify, so we're going to add the opposite here. We're going to have y minus 3 is equal to, distribute the negative 4, x minus 8. And we need to add 3 to each side. And our final answer is y is equal to negative 4x minus 5. This is an equation of a line that is parallel to what we were given, but passes through our new point. So you can tell that it has the same slope because it's parallel, but it has a different y-intercept. All right, next we're going to move on to how to do a perpendicular line. So our slope that we need to use, again, comes from the old line, but this time our new slope needs to be a slope that is perpendicular to the old line. And remember from Algebra 1, perpendicular slopes are opposite signs, so this one needs to be positive, and the reciprocal, which is going to be 1/4. So we're going to use the same xy point that we used before. This time I'm going to use the alternate method so that you can see how that one works also. So the alternate method is to use y equals mx plus b, so that's slope-intercept form. And then we're going to solve for the intercept. We know the y, which is 3, equals. We know the slope, which we're going to use our new slope, this one right here. 1/4, remember using parentheses, times our x, which is negative 2, plus b. So we need to solve for b, so we have 3 is equal to negative 1/2 plus b. We're going to add 1/2 to both sides. So b is equal to 3 1/2. And now we're going to write the equation of that line. So we're going to write y is equal to the slope of our new line, 1/4, x plus the b from our new line is 3 1/2. And that is an equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals negative 4x plus 1 and passes through negative 2, 3. Okay, but what happens if what we're given is just 2 points? Well, again, you can write it in either form, point-slope form or slope-intercept form, but both of those things need a slope. So we need to remember how to find the slope. So remember that slope is the change in y over the change in x, which is, how most of you remember, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to go ahead and do that for this line. The slope is equal to 10 minus a negative 2 over 2 minus 5. So when we add the opposite up here, we end up with 12 over negative 3. So our slope is negative 4. So now we have a slope, and we can use either of these 2 points. I'm going to choose to use this point here on the end, and you can fill it into either of the equations. I'm going to fill it into the y equals mx plus b form, which is slope-intercept form. So my y is 10 from that point, and the slope is negative 4. The x is 2 plus b. So 10 is equal to negative 8 plus b. Just going to add 8 to both sides. B is equal to 18. So the equation of my line is y is equal to my slope, which was negative 4, x plus the b, which is 18. Wow, that looks funny. That's at 18. All right, since I have room, I'm going to go ahead and solve it the other way. You don't have to do that, but this way, if you like the point-slope form better, you can use that one instead. So point-slope form was y minus y1 equals the slope, parentheses, x minus x1. So we're going to plug this in, and we're going to say y minus that y1, which is 10, using the same point. You could have used the other point, but it doesn't matter. Just be consistent. So the slope is still negative 4, x minus the x1, which was 2. And we simplify y minus 10 is equal to negative 4x plus 8. So we're going to add 10 to both sides. And y is equal to negative 4x x. That's hard to read, but that was a negative from way up here. Plus 18. And either way that we do it, this way or this way, point slope or slope-intercept, we come up with exactly the same equation for the exact same line. All right, now we're going to try some word problems. So this one says, in the school year ending in 1993, 2 million females participated in U.S. high school sports. Instead of using 1993, we're going to replace 1993, and we're going to call it year 0, so that we don't have to do these calculations that are so big. So that means that for 2003, that would be 10 years from year 0, so this would be year 10. Okay. So to write our ordered pair, we would say that in year 0, there was 2 million females participating in U.S. high school sports. And in the 10th year, this had increased to 2.86 million. So with this information, we can find our slope, because we're trying to write a linear equation for this. So our slope, remember, is delta y over delta x. So we're going to do our change in y, which is 2.86 minus 2 over the change in x's, which is 10 minus 0, which is 0.86 divided by 10, which is 0.086. So that's our slope. So we can plug that into either form of the line, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it into y equals mx plus b. So I can, again, use either of these points. I'm going to choose this point, and of course use my slope from down here to plug in. So I'm going to use the point where the y is 2 equals the m, which is 0.086 times the x value, which is 0, plus b. So b is equal to 2. Now I can replace y equals, here's my slope again, 0.086 x plus the b from right here. And there is my linear equation. All right, let's try one more. For this one, it says you have $30 to spend on downloading songs for your digital music player. Company A charges 79 cents per song, and Company B charges 99 cents per song. Write an equation that models this situation. So I'm going to define my variables first. Company A we're going to let Company A be X. The songs that you're going to buy from Company A, they're going to be X. And the songs that you're going to buy from Company B, they're going to be Y. So I have my variables in X and Y, so it looks more like the linear equations that we're used to. So whenever we see this per, we know that's going to be multiply. So we're going to do 0.79 times our x values plus 0.99 times our y values. And that is going to equal the $30 that we have to spend. All right, now we need to talk a little bit about some other things that were in Algebra 1 that are not in this chapter because they assume that you already remember it, but we're going to go over a few of these things. The first ones are special cases, your vertical lines, as well as your horizontal lines. So remember your vertical lines are going to go straight up and down. Okay? They're going to cross the x-axis, and so those lines are going to be x equals a constant. It crosses the x-axis at 3, and it's a vertical line, then the equation is going to be x equals 3. There's only the single variable in the special cases. So the horizontal lines are going to cross the y-axis, and therefore it's going to be a y equals a constant line. There's not going to be the other variable when you have a vertical or a horizontal line. So just remember those special cases when you go to do your work. Okay. The next thing we need to talk about is rewriting equations. So this was a little bit in Chapter 1, I believe Section 1.4, where we rewrote equations and formulas. And we need to practice these because in this chapter they do ask you to write it in specific form, and so you need to practice changing them back and forth. So the first form is standard form that it asks us. So standard form of a line is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers, and a has to be positive. So the first thing that we have to do to this equation that's in slope-intercept form is to get rid of the fractions so that a, b, and c are integers. And so to do that, we're going to clear the denominators. We also learned how to do this in Chapter 1. So we're going to multiply it by that common denominator of 4. So we have 4y equals 3x minus 20. And then we're going to move the 3x to the other side of the equation, so it's going to be negative 3x plus 4y equals negative 20. But remember, a has to be a positive value. So we're going to have to take this and multiply the entire thing by negative 1. And when we do that, we get 3x plus a negative 4y equals 20. And now it's in standard form. Okay? The next example is asked to put it into slope-intercept form. So you did this on your last test, but we need to cover it one more time just to make sure that you understand. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So I need to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract the 6x from both sides. And I get negative 10y equals negative 6x plus 15. But I have to get y all by itself, so I'm going to go ahead and divide everything by negative 10. So y is equal to a positive 3/5 x minus 3/2. And now it's in slope-intercept form. Okay, as we finish, I hope that you have remembered a lot from Algebra 1. And if you have any questions, be sure to go back and look at the podcast again, and then bring your questions to class the next time that we see you. So we'll see you then.